Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something incredibly important, something that everyone needs to understand, and that is called session hijacking. This is the attack that lets someone log in as you without knowing your password, not because the server was hacked or not because someone guessed the password, but because of one small file in your browser, which is called a session cookie. And believe me, if someone gets the cookie, then it's over. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how attackers can abuse cookies from start to finish using a real working demo. You'll see the entire process slowly, clearly, and step by step. So let's get into it. Before we jump into the demo, let me explain what a session cookie actually is in a way that is simple and practical. When you log into a website, the server needs a way to remember that it's you on every page you open. Websites don't have memories. Every request is new. So how do they remember? They give your browser a small piece of data called a session cookie. This cookie might look like a random string of letters and numbers, but it's not random. It's the key that tells the server, this user is authenticated, this user is logged in, this user has permissions, and this request is part of the same session. So instead of asking for your username and password every time, the website simply checks your cookie. Think of cookie like a VIP wristband at a concert, for example. You show it once at the entrance, and from that point on, security just waves you through. Now, if someone steals your wristband, they don't need you, they become you basically. So, that's exactly how session hijacking works. For this demo, I'm running a simple Flask application on my local machine. It uses a very insecure session management approach on purpose, so we can study the vulnerabilities clearly. The website uses a cookie called Session ID, which contains the unique ID that identifies the logged in user. I'm going to log into the site normally in one browser, take that session cookie, and then show you how an attacker could insert that cookie into a completely different browser and instantly become logged in. First, I'm going to open my normal browser, as I've done here, and log in as a test user. The username is Bob and the password is password123, and then I will log in. Now I will open the developer tools, and in here I'm already in the application tab, and here the cookie. So the session ID here is the cookie, and the value is the key to my account. This is what the attackers want, this thing here. Now I'm going to simulate the attacker. I'll open a completely different, fresh private browsing window, which is basically, a clean slate with no cookies, no login session, nothing. From the attacker's point of view, this is their machine. They don't know the password, they don't know the username, they don't have any authentication details. All they have is the session ID that they managed to steal. Now, here is where the thing happens. In a private window, you can open the browser cookie storage by pressing F12 and going to application cookies. Well, what we will have to be on a website, so let me go to our thing, and over here you guys could right click and add new and fill in the name, value, the domain, and the path exactly as it was in the normal browser. But for me, it wouldn't work. Sometimes it does work and sometimes it does not. It depends on many things like the browser's security permissions and everything. You will have to fix some of those to make it work. But I did found another way which worked without me having to tweak the security permissions on a browser. Now, attackers can use JavaScript to force the browser to create a cookie. And I'm going to do the same thing by going on console. First of all, allow pasting. It is allow pasting. Alright. And then I'm going to enter the following. JavaScript document dot cookie is equal to Now this is the name of the cookie. Session ID is equal to, I will go back and copy the value, and then I will enter the value. I will specify the path, which is this, and the domain is equal to the address. Last, I will enter void, which returns 0, and press enter. We got undefined. This is a good sign. Now, document.cookie, it basically tells the browser to create or modify a cookie. The session ID and our session ID, this is where the attacker, inserts the stolen session token. The path, it means the cookie is valid for the entire website. And the domain is basically tells the browser which website the cookie belongs to. Now, as you saw, undefined, that's completely normal. It means that the JavaScript executed successfully. At this moment, the attacker has planted the stolen session cookie inside their browser. Just to confirm, we can go to the application, and here it is. It was entered through the JavaScript command that we entered on console. Now, here is where it happens. If I simply go over here and type http 127.0.0.1 on port 5000 and hit enter, I logged in as the victim user without ever entering a password. Why did this happen? Well, because the server sees a valid session cookie. It doesn't know how I got it. It doesn't know I'm not the real user. It just sees a valid token and trusts it. There are many ways this is the whole danger of session hijacking. It can be through cross-site scripting, malware, public Wi-Fi sniffing, man-in-the-middle attacks, browser extensions, physical access, or social engineering. Once they have the cookie, the account is compromised. Now that you understand how powerful cookies are, here's how websites should defend against this. We have here HttpOnly should be always ticked on. It prevents JavaScript from reading or setting the cookie. Secure should be set on because it only sends the cookie over HTTPS. SameSite restrictions should be set. The cross-site scripting, I'm assuming this here is it should be ticked. We should rotate session IDs after login. We should invalidate sessions on logout, IP device binding, short session lifetimes, and server-side checks for suspicious activity. If a website does even half of these things, this exact attack becomes much harder. And this was pretty much it for the day. My goal with videos like this is to help beginners understand cybersecurity concepts, not to just memorize commands. When you understand why something works, you can think like an attacker and a defender. If you learned something today, please consider subscribing. Drop your questions in the comments as I always reply, and as always, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.